The wedding that wasn't meant to last. I used to believe that love could fix anything, that no matter how broken someone was, if you gave them enough love, enough patience, enough understanding, they would heal. I don't believe that anymore. I was 25 when I met him. He was 40, charismatic, the kind of man who walked into a room and made people stop and look. He had a 4-year-old son from a recent divorce and a past that sounded like something out of a Netflix crime docuseries. Raised in a cult, a leader now facing federal charges, a childhood filled with secrets too dark to talk about. But I told myself that wasn't him, that he had left it all behind, that we could build something different, something real. The red flags I ignored. For 7 years, I ignored the little things. The way he would shut down whenever we argued. The way he would disappear for days when things got hard. The way he made me feel like I had to be smaller, quieter, easier to love so he wouldn't leave. I became a stepmom overnight, took care of his son, built a home around his needs, sacrificed parts of myself just to make things work. I thought marriage would fix everything. I was so wrong. 7 days after I do, he was gone. It was a Tuesday. Just a small fight about something stupid. Dinner plans, I think. Something that should have been over in 5 minutes. But that night, he never came home. At first, I told myself it was fine, that he needed space, that he'd be back in the morning. Morning came. No calls, no texts, no messages. By the second day, panic set in. I called his friends. No one had seen him. I checked police reports. Nothing. Then on the 7th day, an email arrived. No subject line, just 5 words.
I'm done. It's over. Goodbye.
I remember staring at the screen, rereading those words over and over, as if they would change. They didn't. But the worst part? He hadn't just disappeared. He had emptied my jewelry box before he left. Everything. Gone. My engagement ring, family heirlooms, the locket my grandmother had given me. He had taken them all. The sickening realization. I ran home, my hands shaking so badly that I fumbled the keys at the door. The apartment was off, too clean. His clothes, gone. His toiletries, gone. The extra set of house keys, gone. Like he had never lived there at all. And then I noticed the note on the counter. One single line written in the same casual, detached tone as his email. It was never going to work. That was it. 7 years of my life, reduced to a single sentence. But here's the part that still makes my stomach drop when I think about it. He didn't just leave me. He left his son too. The son he walked away from. His 11-year-old son, the boy who had spent most of his life calling me Mom, stood in the doorway, his face blank.
Is Dad coming back?
He asked. I didn't have an answer. How do you tell a child that his father just disappeared? That he walked away and never looked back? I held him that night while he cried himself to sleep. And for the first time since the email, I let myself cry too. Not just for myself, not just for the years I had lost, but for the boy he left behind, the aftermath, and what I know now. A week later, I got a call from a mutual friend. They had seen him with another woman. He had moved across the country, a new job, a new apartment, a new life, like we had never existed, like his son had never existed. It hit me then, the truth I had been refusing to see. He hadn't just left. He had been planning this, the way he always talked about needing an escape. The sudden decision to get married when he had never wanted to before. The way he had never unpacked half of his stuff after the wedding. He had been setting this up for months, and I had been too blind to see it. What I wish I had known. If I could go back, I'd tell myself, love isn't enough. People don't change just because you want them to. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. I spent 7 years ignoring red flags, 7 years shrinking myself to fit into his broken spaces, and in the end, he was never planning to stay. I just wasn't ready to see it.